Beginning, the arrival of the Challenger. I never expected someone from my past to find me on Arcturus Prime, a mining colony turned strategic hub at the edge of human-controlled space. My name is Cale Arden, and I was once a soldier, a fighter whose reputation spanned star systems. But after the last interstellar conflict, I had vanished into obscurity, taking up work as a tech scavenger and survivalist on this rugged planet. It was a quiet morning when the message arrived, a transmission from an old adversary, Ronan Vey, one of the deadliest warriors in the Outer Rim. The message was brief. "I'm coming for you, Cale. Prepare." I didn't panic. I had survived worse: pirates, rogue AI, and orbital bombardments. But there was something in his tone, something sharp and cold, that set my instincts on edge. He was coming to fight me. I spent the day preparing the perimeter of my settlement, reinforcing walls, checking weapons, and analyzing possible ambush points. The sun set over the jagged mountains, casting long shadows, and still no sign of him. Yet I knew he would arrive, because he always had a vendetta, and nothing could stop him from seeking it. The confrontation. He came at dawn, in a sleek, black shuttle that skimmed low over the plateau. When he stepped onto the rocky ground, I could see every detail: the scars along his face, the hardened eyes, the aura of menace that had earned him fear across half the systems I once served. "Cale Arden," he said, voice rough and low. "You ran, but you can't hide forever." I didn't run. I replied calmly, keeping my hand near my energy blade. "I moved on." He laughed, a sound devoid of humor. "You don't get to just move on from what we did. From what you did." The tension was electric. I could feel the air vibrating with anticipation. Then he lunged, fast, precise, a deadly combination of brute strength and calculated skill. I parried, dodged, and countered, but every move he made carried the weight of familiarity. He knew me too well. We fought across the plateau, leaping over jagged rocks, dodging laser fire, and exchanging blows that could shatter bone. I could see the crowd of scavengers I had gathered watching from a safe distance, holding their breath. No one spoke. They had never seen a duel like this. Then, amidst the chaos, I made a sudden move, spinning out of his reach. I caught him off guard, stepping back to reveal my forearm, where a tattoo glimmered faintly under the sunlight, a design he had seen only once before, decades ago. The mark was a symbol of the Crimson Vanguard, an elite unit we both had once served in. A unit so secret, so deadly, that only those who had fought at its side would recognize it. The freeze. Ronan froze mid-strike, his eyes widening as they locked onto the tattoo. His blade dropped slightly, his stance faltering. That's impossible," he breathed. "I thought you were dead. We thought you were erased." I smiled faintly, weapon still ready. "Not erased. Just retired." His entire demeanor shifted. The man who had come to kill me, fueled by rage and revenge, now looked like a ghost from his own memories. Memories of campaigns, battles, and missions so brutal that most had been erased from record. The tattoo wasn't just ink. It was a symbol of history, power, and shared secrets. It reminded him of everything we had once been, and everything he had feared I still was. You survived everything," he said, voice trembling with disbelief. "All of it. And here you are alive." "Yes," I replied simply. "And I've learned that surviving doesn't mean fighting everyone. Sometimes it means being smart about who you challenge and when." For a tense moment, the plateau was silent, except for the wind and distant calls of scavenger birds. He looked at me, and I could see the conflict within him, the urge to fight still there, buried beneath layers of recognition, fear, and grudging respect. Conversation, and truth. I lowered my weapon slowly, signaling truce. Ronan, listen. We were part of something bigger than either of us. The missions, the deaths, the betrayals, they don't define who we are now. He shook his head, still staring at the tattoo. You have no idea what I thought I lost. I came here to settle the score, Kale. I came to finish what we started. You've already finished it, I said, voice calm.
We survived.
That's enough. Fighting me now would only make us both casualties of the past. His shoulders slumped slightly, a gesture almost human in its exhaustion. You really are alive. And you've been hiding all this time, why? Because survival is smarter than revenge, I replied. Because sometimes the greatest battles are fought in silence, away from recognition, away from those who only want to see you dead. For the first time, I saw him hesitate, the fire of anger tempered by the weight of memories we shared. The tattoo glimmered under the rising sun, a reminder that we were both products of the same past, but that past didn't have to dictate the future. The alliance forms. We stood in silence for several minutes, the wind carrying dust and tension alike. Then Ronan finally spoke, voice quieter. I underestimated you. And maybe I was wrong about everything else too. You were, I said, a faint smile tugging at my lips. But now you know the truth. No more ghosts. No more battles that don't matter. He nodded, lowering his weapon fully. Then what now? I pointed toward the horizon, where the ruins of old battlefields lay scattered across jagged plains. We rebuild. We survive. And maybe we can finally make amends for the lives we've lost, the missions we failed, and the paths we chose. His expression softened, a mixture of relief and respect crossing his features. I never thought I'd see this day, he admitted, but I'm glad I did. Ending, moving beyond the past. In the following weeks, Ronan and I worked together, repairing old settlements, scavenging resources, and helping those caught in the crossfire of long-forgotten wars. The tattoo, once a symbol of death and fear, became a marker of survival, trust, and reconciliation. The stories of our past, the missions, betrayals, and near-death experiences, remained, but they no longer defined us. They were lessons, reminders of how fragile life could be, and how the bonds forged in fire could endure even decades later. One evening, as the twin suns of Arcturus Prime set over the plateau, I watched Ronan repair a gravely damaged mech. He looked up and met my gaze. You know, he said, if I hadn't seen that tattoo, none of this would have happened. I'd probably be fighting you still. I chuckled softly. Then maybe it saved both our lives. A mark of the past, guiding the present. He nodded, a faint smile crossing his scarred face.
Yeah.
Guess some things never really die, but they can change. Just like us. We stood side by side, not as enemies, but as survivors, warriors who had faced death and come out stronger. The tattoo had frozen him, yes, but it had also reminded him of the truth, that even in a universe defined by chaos, betrayal, and violence, there was room for redemption, understanding, and trust. And as night fell over Arcturus Prime, I realized something profound. Sometimes, the smallest symbol, the ink on a forearm, could carry the weight of a lifetime, altering destinies and forging new paths in the vastness of the galaxy. I had survived. He had survived. And together, we had finally moved beyond the ghosts of the past.